So we now have Royce, Henry, and Adi from Georgia Institute of Technology presenting Humans Don't Deserve the World, modeling the introduction of humans to a predator-prey system.
Hello, I'm Adi Krish. I go to Lambert High School.
I'm Henry Bowie, and I go to GSMST.
I'm Royce, and I go to Southwest High School.
Dr. Mary, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm their coach. I'm at Georgia Tech, so but I'll say a few things throughout the talk. But take it away, guys.
All right, so how did it all start? We met each other through the Georgia Tech Distance Discord server. And so Georgia Tech offers dual enrollment courses for high school students in year 1, and that's going to be linear algebra and multivariable calculus. And year 2, which is applied combinatorics and differential equations. And who completed happened to bond with each other while helping others with math problems and problem sets. And on one such day, our amazing coach and professor for our math classes, Dr. Mayer, happened to invite us to participate in this amazing SCUDEM challenge. And we immediately jumped up at this opportunity without barely knowing each other. And with our only knowledge of differential equations being separable differential equations from Calc BC, we were stuck. But our coach helped guide us with various lectures and before the challenge started. And at the end of the day, we grew more confident with our ability to develop equations and model them using MATLAB.
Oh, I'll just say a few things for this one slide. Knowing that these students had some background in linear algebra and multivariable calculus, they completed those courses in the past, but hadn't taken a differential equations course. I pointed them to a couple YouTube videos, just a couple of YouTube videos, not many, very short, giving a brief overview. And I think probably the most useful thing, I think, was pointing them to the resources that were already on the Semioid website and going through one of the old challenge problems. So from the 2019 year, there are the challenge problems that are available with no solutions. So it's really up to the students to sort of figure out without any guide other than the resources I sent them to figure out how to solve one of those problems. They chose one. It took about a week to produce a solution. I gave them some feedback, and that was pretty much it. Thanks to the School of Math at Georgia Tech for paying for the registration. And all of our chat was through Discord, if you know Discord. It just seemed to solve all our communication problems. So yeah.
During the challenge, we chose humans run everything, which was problem C, because we were kind of familiar with the predator-prey model, and we felt it was more concrete. And then the other two problems, we had a bit of a narrower focus. So we worked on all aspects of the project together. So we didn't really split up work and just got together in meetings and just did everything together. And like Dr. Mayer said, we communicated via Discord. We used Google Slides to make a presentation, MATLAB to model our equations and generate plots. And we had some self-made software that Royce used where we could import our slides and individually record the audio for each slide. And then we use YouTube to upload our final video. So the problem we use problem C is what happens to an existing predator-prey population when a group of humans rapidly populate a new area. We made sure to account for the prey's anti-predation response getting weakened due to humans. But we also noted that as humans came into the ecosystem, the prey had to use less energy on their anti-predation response. We did make a couple of assumptions for this. We used all the assumptions of the basic predator-prey model that still apply here. So the prey population grows exponentially without predators. Predators will starve with no prey left, rather than switching to a different prey. The predators can consume an unlimited amount of prey, and the environment is homogeneous, and both predators and prey move through it randomly. So we analyzed 3 aggregate groups, the population of the prey, the population of the predators, and the humans, and saw how they interact with each other. And we noted the anti-predation affects the base model a bit and changes it up. We also noted the human population will grow exponentially. As for the human interaction with the prey, we split into 2 different aspects, the active and the passive effect. The active effect is how the introduction of humans kills the animal groups at a rate proportional to the number of interactions between humans and animals. But we also noted the more passive effect of humans lowering the prey's anti-predation response, making them more susceptible to the predators.
So to build our equation, we basically went through 4 steps to create our equation. We started with a basic predator-prey model, which we got from our studies back when we were practicing. we added our anti-predation effect to that, and then added an active effect that humans had on the population, and then added a passive effect. So this made it easy to go from step to step and add all of the behaviors that we expected from our assumptions. Okay, so starting off with our predator-prey model, we have the basic one just with alpha x minus beta xy, so on and so forth. And we noted that when prey have an anti-predation mechanism, we see that there's two main effects from this anti-predation mechanism. Firstly is that they're going to interact less with predators, and they are going to use up more energy for anti-predation and have less energy to reproduce. These are both qualitative in a way, so we have to write them as a quantitative thing in our equation. And we did this by taking x times y, which is our number of interactions between, or number of possible interactions between predator and prey, and added a factor k to indicate that anti-predation helps reduce the number of interactions. And we also added a negative epsilon x to represent a decrease in the birth rate for predators or prey. And then in our second step, or rather, or sorry, third step, we're adding an active effect, which for us, we propose that when humans urbanize a habitat, they're going to decimate prey and predators at a rate proportional to the interactions between human and prey. Not necessarily because they're like directly killing them, but more so because they're destroying their habitats, and that's going to have an effect on the population. So to add this, we added a constant psi x and psi y, and we use that to say that prey and predators die at a rate proportional to the number of interactions between human and the aggregate group. And finally, we had the human passive effect, which was the most complicated and also probably the thing that took us the longest time. So what we knew is that we wanted to have the anti-predation effect falter or pretty much become zero by the time or by the introduction of humans. But there wasn't really like one easy equation that we could use to represent that. So what we knew is that when there are no humans, then the anti-predation is in full effect and all the constants epsilon and k are going to be at their expected values. But once there are many humans, so as h tends towards infinity, we know that these effects are going to pretty much falter and they're going to tend towards zero. And since we knew this, we could create an equation that met both of our properties, which for the epsilon is going to be epsilon divided by mu h plus 1. And we see here that at 0, epsilon is at an initial value, but towards infinity, it's at 0. And similarly, we expect that k, which is our interaction effect, we expect it to pretty much become useless, and that would happen when k tends towards 1. So we created a similar equation, but for k. And so we just put this all together by replacing epsilon and k in our original or in our steps with the new equation that we created. So taking this all together, we have this very complicated dx dy dt dx dt and dy dt, but it kind of comes from pretty simple steps. Yeah, and so those are variables and those are constants.
All right, so now we're going to move on to analyzing the models that we made using ODE 45 and MATLAB. So here on the side, you see both these graphs. They showed the basic predator-prey system without human introduction. And anti-predation allows the prey population to be much higher than the predator population. So the blue is much greater density and concentration than the red. And these do not intersect, as seen in the graphs on the left on the short run and the graph on the right in the long term. And all of these models that we're going to show you in the next few slides have days on the x-axis and scale population on the y-axis. All right, so this new yellow curve is introducing humans, and this grows exponentially over time, which leads to both the decay of the predator and prey populations. And the point where the populations reach 0, as you see on the graph on the right, which occurs around 3,000 days, is going to be referred to as the critical point, and it's going to be commonly used in the next few slides. All right, so let's say what happens if humans move out of the system before the critical point happens. So if they do that, then the populations of animals will actually regenerate and go back to how it was before human introduction, as seen in the graphs in the left on the short run and on the right in the long run. So it's like nothing ever happened. And if the humans were to move out of the system during the critical point, then something interesting happens. The population of both the predator and people, as seen in the graphs. And this is actually, it's seen that human introduction actually plays a role in causing the anti-predation response to actually trigger and increase growth over time. And lastly, if the humans were to leave the system after the critical point, so that's when the populations of both the predator and prey were to become zero, then the damage has been done, and the system, the populations have already become zero. So the populations won't regenerate, and the damage has already been done to both the animals and the ecosystem.
So to sum it up, if the humans leave after the critical point, the damage has already been done, and the population of prey and predators won't regenerate, and will approach zero. If the humans leave during the critical point, the population of prey and predators will actually increase due to the effect of anti-predation requiring less energy, but the overall damage not being done yet. So the ecosystem would actually benefit in this case. However, if the humans leave before the critical point, then they don't have enough time to have their effect happen. So there won't be any damage or any significant change to the ecosystem. So our model does have a few limitations and ways we could improve it. This does not account for the other effects by humans, like habitat destruction or introducing invasive species or resource consumption. And we can improve this by adding more variables to the predator and prey populations to reflect these effects. Also, our model is like really general regarding the predator and prey populations, as we're all kind of thinking of them as like a block each. This doesn't really account for the variety of different type of predator, different types of prey, and variety within each type of prey as well. So we could model different types of species separately as a way to improve this. And also, our assumptions regarding birth rate and death rate might be unrealistic or overly general. So we might have adjust this based on the population and the situation that we're studying. So that's it. And
Yep.
yeah, we
So
have
after we submitted our SCUDEM presentation, we got some feedback from our judges. So here are like two big points that we wanted to discuss. Firstly, there was a question about why, well, okay, so what it says is that the problem statement demands, in this scenario, humans should be quickly introduced into a system. Quickly. It's nearly 7 years quick, and they're asking for justification. So in our model, we see that humans do join the habitat in the span of seven years, which was really just an arbitrary choice by us. But we found that just changing the human growth to be faster or to be slower really didn't change much about what was happening in the model. And the only big difference was that the critical point was moved left or right. So yeah, 7 years was arbitrary, but either way, we can still see the same effects that we saw in our model. And our second feedback that we wanted to note was, how did you decide on parameter values? Is it possible that your results depend just as much on the parameter values as on humans disappearing before, during, or after the apocalypse? In many models, parameter values make a huge difference, and I think that's probably the case here. So actually, yeah, we did see that parameter values did play a huge effect on what was happening in our model. And when we started off writing like extremely unreasonable parameter values to the point where it wouldn't make sense. But we decided to create our parameter values based off what we knew about the predator-prey model in practice and what seemed reasonable relative to those predator-prey values. And what we got was our model from just a few slides back.
So we got a lot about SCUDEM. We learned to develop, solve, and plot differential equations, analyze and apply solutions to a wide variety of fields, and we just had a lot of fun seeing other people approach the same problem in like many different ways. And right now, the three of us are taking a differential equations course, and SCUDEM has helped us understand the concept better and just do better in the course. And we enjoyed working with each other so much that we have all ended up becoming good friends. And we also applied our learnings in our own research. For example, Royce is working on an AP research project that requires differential equations, and his work on SCUDEM helped him with this project. So any questions, any feedback?
I very much enjoyed your presentation. Thank you, guys. That's, yeah, like was just said in the chat, it's very impressive you did all this without having had a course yet. Yeah. What is the actual SCUDEM competition like now that teams don't go to a physical location together? Did you get to interact with other teams or watch their video presentations as part of a like culminating experience to the challenge period, or you submit your video and then wait for results? And what's that like?
So for us, we were able to like interact with the previous SCUDEM by like watching their YouTube videos, but once we submitted ours, we weren't able to see any of the people who were doing the videos like the same time as us. So which is we submitted it and it was done for us.
Okay. Yes. And then later, a month or so later, you can see the other outstanding videos, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yep.
Mm-hmm.
So did you take the judges' feedback into a rewriting of your paper or your talk, or you know, you've analyzed and responded to their feedback, which is a great thing to do. Do you have plans to write up your work more formally, or did you do that already? Or
We might make it into like a paper format, but for now, like we did like adjust our model and like we did answer the questions, and like in like the assumption slide, we did like change a few things based on like the feedback to like make it more inclusive of what we needed to change. But there's definitely things that we could do in the future, like maybe like writing it up as a paper for those who are interested.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be cool.
I wanted to add, I hadn't realized that SCUDEM was previously in person, but I think the online experience was really great for just me, Audie, and Royce, because we're all from different schools. We're like in the same general Atlanta metro area, but we're like in pretty different places, pretty different regions in the Atlanta metro area. So I think just like having the online opportunity to just like be able to talk through that medium was great too.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yes, it opens up the doors to a lot more people to be able to participate and not have funding to fly to a place or whatever. Like students from my school wouldn't be able to go to an in-person thing either, but I hope to get people involved doing the online competition. Yeah, that's very, very cool.
Yeah, it was a really fun experience. Yeah.
We all like got to know each other more through it.
Will you do SCUDEM again this next year?
Yes, we will. I will.
Really? I mean, I was of the I thought that SCUDEM is only for people who have not taken a differential equations course. And since we're all now taking a differential equations course, I don't think we'd be eligible anymore.
That's not the case. I think the majority of your competition had differential equations already, which makes it all the more impressive that you guys earned an outstanding award and were invited to speak at the conference. That's extremely impressive because yes, almost everyone has had differential equations already. So you're certainly still eligible, I think, for your entire time as undergrads. After that, you have to become a judge or a coach if you want to stay involved. But I think for your entire college career, you could keep doing it if you want.
That's cool. We're all seniors, so we're gonna be like going to college next year.
Yeah, and maybe in different places, but you can still be a team.
Maybe Georgia Tech, right? All of us.
There you go.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah,
It could be the first undergrads to coach a
maybe.
Yeah.
We were the first to compete from Tech, right? So yeah, that counts for something.
That is cool. So what was that like for you, Dr. Meyer, forming a team and advertising that for the first time, getting some traction from student interest?
We didn't know what to expect, what would happen. I was a little worried because they have a Discord server for all the students, including like it's a student-run alumni, hundreds of students. Luckily, there were just 3 people who said, I was like, okay, I can do 3.
Wow, that's perfect.
Yeah. And I didn't know how to really like put together a set of resources to help get ready. But I figured, looking at the past challenges, there's always one that you approach or could approach. You don't have to, but could approach with predator-prey models. So look, just learn how to do it.
So
Probably-
smart.
Yeah, and it seemed to work out.
That's too cool.
You have to, they did a really good job. One thing I didn't teach them, but they did a really good job of is the block diagrams to explain how the model was modified.
Mhm.
Where they got that from, but it really helped communicate the.
It really did. The way that you broke down and explained where each of the pieces in your model was eventually coming from, starting with the basic textbook system that most people are aware of, all the way to your, yes, very complicated system that was really well explained visually and verbally and everything. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Nice. Well, thank you
Yep.
guys. I very much enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yes, that is the end of our session. Thank you for presenting. And also just to reiterate what was already said, is very impressive. You guys are like one of the few teams here that aren't an undergrad, and also of the undergraduate teams that I've seen, they're all usually seniors. So you all should be very proud of yourselves, and thank you for presenting.
All right.
Okay.
See y'all.
All right.
Bye.